Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I hope you are doing well. Today, we will talk about one of the most influential people in human history, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Many people know him as the Prophet of Islam. Muslims around the world love and respect him deeply. But Muhammad was not only a religious leader for Muslims. He was also known as a humble, honest, kind, and compassionate human being. Even many non-Muslim historians and thinkers have admired his character, leadership, and wisdom. In today's episode, we will explore his life in simple English for ESL learners. We will learn how he lived, how he treated people, how he changed society, and why millions of people still follow his example today. This is not only a story about religion. It is also a story about humanity, kindness, patience, justice, and humility. Today's podcast is arranged in very simple English letters so that you can improve your English listening by listening to this podcast. So sit back, relax, and let us travel back more than 1400 years to the deserts of Arabia. Before Prophet Muhammad was born, Arabia was very different from today. Most people lived in tribes. Tribal loyalty was extremely important. Many tribes fought each other for power, money, and revenge. Violence was common. Rich people often treated poor people badly. Slavery existed. Women had very few rights in many areas of society. Some families even buried baby girls alive because they thought daughters were a burden. There were also many religious beliefs in Arabia. Some people worshipped idols made from stone or wood. The city of Makkah was an important trading center and also a religious center because it contained the Kaaba, a sacred building visited by many tribes. This was the world into which Muhammad was born. Muhammad was born in the city of Makkah around the year 570 CE. His father, Abdullah, died before he was born. His mother, Amina, died when he was still a young child. Because of this, Muhammad grew up as an orphan. First, his grandfather took care of him. Later, his uncle Abu Talib became his guardian. Life was not easy for him. He experienced sadness and hardship from a very young age. But these experiences helped shape his character. He understood the pain of loneliness and poverty, and later in life, he became someone who deeply cared for orphans, widows, and the poor. As a young boy, Muhammad worked as a shepherd. Later, he became a merchant and traveled with trading caravans. People in Makkah quickly noticed something special about him. He was honest. He was trustworthy. He was calm and respectful. Because of his character, people gave him a special title, Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy one. This title is important. Long before he became a prophet, people already respected him for his honesty and good behavior. That tells us something powerful. True greatness begins with character. When Muhammad, peace be upon him, grew older, he worked in business and trade. At that time, cheating in business was common. Some traders lied about prices or sold bad products dishonestly. But Muhammad, peace be upon him, was different. He never cheated customers. He never lied. He treated people fairly. His honesty became famous across Makkah. A wealthy businesswoman named Khadijah heard about his good character. She asked Muhammad, peace be upon him, to manage some of her trading business. Muhammad, peace be upon him, succeeded because people trusted him. Later, Khadijah proposed marriage to him. Their marriage became one of the most beautiful examples of love, loyalty, and partnership in history. Khadijah supported Muhammad, peace be upon him, emotionally and financially. She believed in him during difficult times. Muhammad, peace be upon him, also loved and respected her deeply. Even after her death, he continued to remember her kindness for many years. This teaches an important lesson. Strong relationships are built on trust, respect, and support, not only wealth or appearance. Although Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived in Makkah, he was uncomfortable with many problems in society. He disliked injustice, idol worship, violence, and cruelty. Sometimes he went alone to a cave called Hira, outside Makkah, to think and pray in peace. One night, when he was around 40 years old, something life-changing happened. According to Islamic belief, the angel Jibril, or Gabriel, came to him with a message from Allah. The first word revealed was, "Read." Muhammad, peace be upon him, was frightened and confused because he could not read or write. But this moment marked the beginning of prophethood. The message he received later became the Quran, the holy book of Islam. Muhammad's, peace be upon him, mission was clear. Worship Allah alone. Help the poor. Speak the truth. Protect justice. Treat people with kindness. End oppression and cruelty. At first, only a few people believed him. His wife Khadija believed him immediately. His close friend Abu Bakr also accepted the message. But many leaders in Makkah became angry. Why? Because Muhammad, peace be upon him, challenged their power and traditions. He taught equality. He said rich and poor were equal before Allah. He defended slaves and weak people. He criticized corruption and injustice. This threatened powerful leaders. The early Muslims faced terrible difficulties. Some were beaten. Some were tortured. Some lost their homes and businesses. Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself was insulted and attacked. People threw garbage at him. Some mocked him publicly. Others planned to kill him. But despite all this, Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained patient. This part of his life is extremely important. He did not answer cruelty with cruelty. He answered hatred with patience. One famous story tells us about an old woman who regularly threw trash on Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he walked past her house. One day, she did not appear. Muhammad, peace be upon him, became concerned and visited her home to check if she was sick. The woman was shocked by his kindness. Whether every detail of this story is historically verified or not, Muslims often share it because it reflects the kindness and mercy associated with Muhammad's, peace be upon him, character. Another powerful example comes from the city of Taif. Muhammad, peace be upon him, traveled there hoping people would listen to his message peacefully. Instead, people insulted him and threw stones at him until he bled. Even then, he prayed for them instead of asking for revenge. This level of forgiveness is difficult to imagine. Most people respond to pain with anger. Muhammad, peace be upon him, often responded with mercy. As persecution in Makkah became worse, Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers migrated to another city called Medina. This migration is known as the Hijra. It became one of the most important events in Islamic history. In Medina, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was not only a religious leader. He also became a community leader, judge, teacher, and statesman. He worked to unite different tribes and groups. Muslims, Jews, and others lived in the city. Muhammad, peace be upon him, created agreements to protect cooperation and peace between communities. He taught that people should help one another and respect justice. This is another important point. Muhammad's, peace be upon him, leadership was not based only on power. It was based on responsibility. He listened to people. He consulted others before making decisions. He encouraged education and learning. He visited sick people. He helped poor families. He repaired his own clothes and did household work. Even though he became a respected leader, he continued living simply. This humility impressed many people. A man once approached Muhammad, peace be upon him, while trembling with fear because he was nervous to meet such an important leader. Muhammad, peace be upon him, calmly told him, "Relax. I am only the son of a woman who used to eat dried meat." This response showed his humility. He never acted like a king. One reason millions of people admire Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his treatment of others. He showed kindness to children. He greeted people warmly. He smiled often. According to many narrations, he never mocked people for being poor or weak. He also taught mercy toward animals. He told people not to overwork animals or treat them cruelly. He encouraged feeding the hungry and helping neighbors. He said the best people are those who benefit others. Think about that idea carefully. The value of a human being is not only wealth, status, or power. True value comes from helping humanity. Muhammad, peace be upon him, also emphasized forgiveness. When he eventually returned to Makkah with a large number of followers, many expected revenge against the people who had persecuted him for years. But instead, he forgave many of them. This moment changed history. A leader with power chose mercy over revenge. That is rare. To understand Muhammad's, peace be upon him, impact, we must also understand the historical context. In many parts of Arabia before Islam, women had very limited rights. Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that women deserve dignity and respect. Women gained rights related to inheritance, marriage, and property. He taught men to treat women kindly. He said, "The best among you are those who are best to their wives." His relationship with his daughters also showed affection and care. When his daughter Fatima entered a room, he would stand up to welcome her. This may sound simple today, but in that society, it carried powerful meaning. It showed respect and love toward daughters. Despite becoming one of the most influential leaders in Arabia, Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived a simple life. Sometimes there was very little food in his house. He slept on simple bedding. He did not build palaces. He did not surround himself with luxury. He spent much of his time helping others, teaching, and worshiping Allah. This simplicity is one reason people continue to admire him. Power often changes people. Fame often creates arrogance. But Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained humble. He sat with poor people. He shared meals with others. He accepted invitations from ordinary people. He never considered himself above humanity. Today, nearly 2 billion Muslims follow the teachings of Islam. But Muhammad's, peace be upon him, influence reaches beyond religion. Historians study his leadership. Writers discuss his character. Social reformers examine how he transformed society. In only a few decades, Arabia changed dramatically. Tribal conflict decreased. Communities became more organized. The ideas of charity, justice, and equality became stronger. Of course, like all historical figures, Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life is studied and discussed from many perspectives. But even many non-Muslim scholars acknowledge that his impact on world history was enormous. What made him influential? Not wealth, not royal blood, not military power alone. His influence came from belief, character, leadership, patience, and consistency. People trusted him because his actions matched his words. That is rare in any time period. So what can modern people learn from Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life? Even if someone is not Muslim, there are many universal lessons. First, honesty matters. Muhammad, peace be upon him, earned respect before becoming a leader because people trusted him. Second, kindness is strength. Many people think strength means aggression. Muhammad, peace be upon him, showed that forgiveness and patience can also be powerful. Third, humility matters. Success should not make people arrogant. Fourth, help the weak. Muhammad, peace be upon him, consistently defended orphans, poor people, widows, and slaves. Fifth, never stop learning. The first revealed word in Islam was read. Knowledge and education were highly valued. These lessons remain relevant today. Modern society still struggles with injustice, greed, division, and hatred. Humanity still needs compassion and integrity. In the final years of his life, Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued teaching and guiding people. During his farewell sermon, he spoke about equality and human dignity. He reminded people that no race is superior to another except through good character and righteousness. This message was revolutionary for that time. Soon after, Muhammad, peace be upon him, became ill. He passed away in the year 632 CE. His death deeply saddened his followers. But his message continued spreading across the world. Today, people across Asia, Africa, Europe, the Americas, and many other regions continue to study his life and teachings. So, who was Muhammad, peace be upon him? For Muslims, he is the final prophet of Allah. But beyond religion, he was also a trustworthy merchant, a caring husband, a patient leader, a defender of the poor, a humble human being, and a man who inspired millions through character and compassion. His story reminds us that true leadership is not about ego or power. It is about service. It is about honesty. It is about helping humanity. Whether someone studies Muhammad, peace be upon him, from a religious perspective, historical perspective, or human perspective, his life offers important lessons about patience, justice, mercy, and humility. And perhaps that is why his influence continues more than 14 centuries later. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with friends who love history, culture, and inspiring human stories. And remember, great people are remembered not only for what they achieved, but also for how they treated others. See you in the next episode.